What if you don't need to live in pain and suffering? What if you could give up your karma and have a life of abundance and joy? What if you could start creating magic and miracles that you never thought were possible? Get ready to listen, share, and experience the magic that is you. Now, here's the host of Creating Abundance with Ease radio show, Dr. Helen Gitlevich.
Welcome, I'm Dr. Helen Gitlevich on Creating Abundance with Ease, and today our show is what can we create beyond your limitations? And with everything that I've experienced, being a doctor, being a mom, being podcast host, Access Consciousness Facilitator, I've learned a lot and I've been sharing it around the world in classes and private session. So what if limitations are not real? What can you create beyond that? Let's play with the tools of Access Consciousness to see if we can change what limits us so we can have life we desire. Before the show, I actually looked up meaning of limitation. I mean, we know all of that. Yeah, limitation is something that holds you back. Something like COVID, like illness, like broken leg, or it can be your car breaks down. But also it can be limitation as a rule that restricts you. Maybe you cannot go on a ride when you're a certain height. So there is so many limitations in the world, right? So I looked up what actual kind of like way before we're using it as something that limits us, what is limit? It's actually very interesting. From 1400s, it's Old French. It's a boundary, which is kind of like what we're using, a border, but also a frontier, a threshold, embarkment between fields, transverse, oblique, uncertain origin, territory. There is so many meaning of the limitation or limit. What if it is a frontier? What if instead of looking at limitation as something that you cannot overcome, it's actually just a threshold where you look at that, it's like, okay, there is a wall there or maybe a door. What if I can open that door and walk through that to something greater? Or if it's a wall, maybe I can walk around it instead of through it, trying to break our head, hitting it against the wall. Just saying. So how do we deal with limitations? And how can we create beyond limitation? And what can we create beyond limitation? And that's actually how Access Consciousness works. It's a set of tools, set of questions, set of processes where we look at something and we ask questions. It's been created by Gary Douglas and co-created with Dr. Dane here. If you've never listened to me or never seen Access Consciousness, never been to any classes, it's just a set of tools. It's not a cult, it's not a religion, it's not a philosophy. Just a whole bunch of different tools. And you can learn them on accessconsciousness.com. You'll see lots of classes, lots of tools. There are lots of free videos. I've done a lot on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. You can find under Creating Abundance, under my name. And all of them just to actually get you beyond what you consider your boundaries, your limitations, your threshold. So with all of that, it's about change, but not change yourself. It's about being us, because we are actually totally infinite beings in infinite embodiment. Saying that, does the infinite have any boundaries or any limitations? No. So let's start with what is infinite being, infinite embodiment, because a lot of people have no idea what it is. It's like, you tell them, it's like, what? Here is a body. What are you talking about, infinite? Our consciousness is infinite. We actually perceive our even body, physical body, has a lot of energetic bodies. There is aura, there is aura, there is energetic body, which goes quite, I would say, at least a few feet, a few meters, if you're in European or Latin American countries or anywhere in the world except England, Australia, and America. Everywhere else it's a metric system, but it doesn't matter how you measure distance. It's still, it goes outside your physical kind of like skin. So let's experience that, because talking about it is wonderful, and yet how do we experience our energetic bodies? How do we experience our, well, the aura, you can take a picture, right? And some people have a big aura, some people have smaller. It's all about kind of like our points of view create our reality, right? So with that in mind, let's kind of like look at our like being as being infinite. So just relax. If you're sitting, just feel your body sitting on the chair. If you're laying, you can lay down, you can sit up, you can walk. Don't close your eyes if you're working or if you're doing something, if you're driving, because that might not be safe. But if you're relaxing, you can close your eyes or don't have to close your eyes. Just take a deep breath and relax wherever you are, and just sense your consciousness, sense where you are. Is your mind, soul, whatever is residing in certain part of the body, or are you outside your body? Or is your body inside of you? Usually it's about you, your body is inside of you, right? So let's expand it. Let's allow our consciousness touch corners of the room if we are in the room, or just expand, maybe mile, kilometer, 10 miles, 10 kilometers, 1,000 miles, 1,000 kilometers. Are you still there? Allow yourself expand, but drop your boundaries, drop your limits. Just ask. Barriers down, barriers down, barriers down, and just allow yourself to go. Just keep going. Make yourself as a sphere that's actually bigger than our planet. Do you feel any boundaries, any limits? Because our body is just a threshold. We can go beyond it. So go beyond it to the size of our galaxy, let's say. Universe, multiverse, you still there? Yeah. How much more ease can you have when you expand? Because that's a space that we can occupy. And can you imagine if you put yourself in the limits of your body? How much force do you have to use to contract that infinite into finite of the skin? And a lot of people is kind of defining themselves by the body, defining themselves as a physical reality, and define it very limited. My invitation is go beyond it. Allow yourself to step over the threshold of what you know, beyond the limitation. Even something that you imagine that doesn't have limitation, it's still limited by your imagination. What if you can go beyond that? I wonder, what will that create? Just for a second, imagine your life with no boundaries, no limitations. Just be that space of infinite. How much more can you create from that space? Wow. I guess you can create infinitely, right? Because our consciousness is totally without boundaries. So I love the definition of limit as a frontier. So let's look at that. As we've been growing up, we've always been taught to look for the answer, for the right choice, for the correct answer, for the right decision. Because if you make a wrong decision, oh, you're screwed. But is it actually true? How often did we made, and I make an air quotes if you're just listening, mistakes? And those mistakes actually created greater. And you judge them as a mistake, you judge them as a stupidity, you judge them so much, and yet you learn so much from that, that it created something beyond you knew. I like the definition that the only person that doesn't make mistakes, somebody who doesn't do anything. Because that's the only way you cannot make mistakes. But life is full of choices. What if there are no mistakes? What if there are just choices that creates awareness? Oh wait, yes. Choice creates. Choice actually creates. And choice creates beyond what we decided that we can go beyond. Everything is just a threshold. Everything is just a step beyond our, if we go beyond that, we actually go beyond our limitations, beyond our boundaries, barriers, barricades that we created. And yet, how often do we choose that? I heard yesterday or the day before on a Zoom, what if there is no choice? No choice is a choice. And that's another limitation we chose. We chose every limitation we have, consciously, unconsciously, or anti-consciously. And it's funny how time flies, and we came to time for our first break of the show. And when we return, we'll talk more on limitations and how to go beyond them. Not how to overcome them, just go beyond them. And you've been listening to Creating Abundance with Ease with myself, Dr. Helen Gitlevich, on the Inspired Choices Network. And we will be right back.
Many of us live our lives based on karma, on the past, and all the unfinished business in our lives. What would you choose if you did not have karma, or if you could choose what you desired instead? By tuning into Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to create the abundance in your life. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to have ease with creating abundance? Listen for Creating Abundance with Ease radio show every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Creating Abundance with Ease show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to helen.g@att.net. Now, back to the program.
Welcome forward, everyone. I'm Dr. Helen Gitlevich on Inspired Choices Network, and today our show is what can we create beyond your limitation? And in the first part, we were talking about, if you're just joining us, we were talking about access consciousness, about being infinite being, and that we don't have limitations, and we talk about definitions of limitation or limit, where it came from, and one of them being a threshold, and one of them being as something very extreme, the greatest degree imaginable. And that's where we kind of like stop, because what if we can go beyond our imagination, beyond what we know? And that's where a lot of times we stop ourselves, because that's scary, because we're so used to kind of like learning the right answer, right choice, and that's supposed to be a safety, which actually it's not. Because when we have the answer, it is limitation, because we cannot go beyond that. We can't go beyond greatest degree imaginable. But if we start asking questions and being the question, which is one of the tools of access consciousness or Kabbalah or many other techniques or Akashic Records, we actually go beyond what we know. Because when we start asking questions, universe answers. It's kind of funny a lot of times, because we ask the question, what else is possible? And guess what? It shows up. In my old life, I remember asking, it cannot, like, how can it get any worse than that? A lot of people ask that, and guess what? It gets worse. So what if instead of that question, we ask, how does it get any better than that? What else is possible? Those two are tools of access consciousness, as I said before. And you can find out more on accessconsciousness.com. With asking question, we're not limiting ourselves to what we know. I remember being on a cruise with a friend of mine, and when we were coming home, we found out our ticket said seats A and C, and as we know, on the airplane, there's a middle seat. And we're kind of like, okay, maybe we should change the seats. And we were looking at the energy, and I'm like, no, let's just ask questions. How does it get any better than that? What else is possible? Maybe there wouldn't be anybody between us. It was a few years ago, flights were overbooked, and especially coming from Florida in the winter, around New Year. So when we got to the airplane, and we kept asking, how does it get any better than that? What else is possible? We found out that there was a table between us. It was like, what? Table between seats? Now it's available on a lot of flights, especially in Europe on a business class. At that time, that was experiment. Maybe we created it by asking questions. How does it get any better than that? We were told that it just started a couple of weeks ago. If we knew that, would we create that? We didn't know that. How could we create that? Because that was the very extreme, the greatest degree imaginable, which is actually a definition from 1904. We didn't kind of choose the limits. We asked questions. So let's just play together for a second. Look at the situation you're in. Doesn't matter if it's a wonderful situation or it's something miserable or it's somewhere in between. You're okay, could get better. Just let's look at that, at any part of your life that you feel can, maybe, would be improved, or you don't even believe that it can improve. Let's play with that. Just allow your imagination to roam and let's ask, how does it get any better than this? Just sense the energy. You don't have to know how it will get better. And again, how does it get any better than that? What else is possible? How does it? How can it? And what else? Just allow those energies to permeate your life. How does it get any better than that? What else is possible? And don't look for the changes right away, because for the universe to actualize it, a lot of times it needs a little time, and time is not real. And yet we create it as a construct. So, but the universe has to rearrange its molecules. It can be instant if we believe in that, but we kind of like believe in it happens with time, and will you let go of those limitations, but yet just allow it whenever. It could be tomorrow, it can be a month or a year. Just allow the universe to do its thing, to rearrange quantum entanglements, random entanglements. Just don't think in terms of how, just the means and modalities. It's just, how does it get any better than that? But don't stress about, oh, it didn't happen or it cannot happen. Just allow the fantasy of, how does it get any better than that? What else is possible? Just look at the energy. The other wonderful tool is kind of like being present with a question and ask, what would it take to change this? Any question that's open-ended can shift and change what's going on. This is more about asking questions and waiting than, and a lot of times we need to take action, because we can ask questions till the pigs fly, literally, or hell, hell freezes over, whatever like definition you have that it will never happen. If we kind of don't do action, nothing will change, believe me. When we ask questions, it's about getting the energy and then moving. It might not be logical. Oh, till the cows come home. Yeah, that's another one. It doesn't matter what we choose. Yet, there has to be action. But it doesn't have to be action specific to the situation. I can talk about one time when I was creating a class, and you would say action is calling people, doing some marketing, doing posting on Facebook or Instagram, doing Facebook Lives. Yeah, that's part of it. I didn't want to do that. I was in a space where like, nope, 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 nobody will make me. And I asked, what else is possible? How does it get any better than that? And I got an awareness to start clearing out my closet. My body's like, let's get rid of some stuff. So I started getting rid of some stuff in the closet. And then, okay, take a walk. Okay, took a walk. And when I came home, there was a person signed up for the class. And I'm like, whoa. And what else is possible? How does it get any better than that? And we keep asking questions. And we get an awareness of certain actions. Maybe to call someone, not necessarily connected to the class. You might want to call a friend and just ask how they're doing, or just go for a meeting. You have no clue how things show up. I remember talking to my daughter, and there was a choice of going to the class or going to a party. And we looked at the energy, and it's like, what your life, by the way, that's another tool. What your life will be in 5 years if you choose that, and what your life will be in 5 years if you don't choose that. And we found out that light that was more expanding was to go to a party. And she was like, that's how you use the tool. It's like, yep, that's how you use the tool. That's how you go beyond your limitation of your mind, because your mind will tell you, oh, you have to go to the class. Oh, you have to do marketing. Oh, you have to call. Oh, you have to do Facebook Live. Not necessarily. It's about shifting and moving energy. It's about what creates greater. And as later we found out, going to the party did create greater, because there was a girl who kind of like needed contribution from my daughter, and it might have shifted and changed that girl's life, which created greater in the world. Because it's not about classes, it's not about money, it's not about number of people, it's about or getting to the better job or whatever. It's about creating more for you and the consciousness, creating more consciousness in the world. What if we actually ask questions, how can we contribute, instead of what will it take for me? Well, the other question, what would it take for me to have more consciousness and more money, will create more consciousness in the world. What if any questions you ask, don't stop yourself from asking for money, because who can create more consciousness, more changes in the world? People with money or people without money? Well, my awareness, my judgment, my point of view is people with money can change the world. If they're evil, they can change it for worse, for unconsciousness, for evil, for like create more war. And yet people with money can stop wars, can contribute to people who require it. What if we all ask for more money right now so we can change the world for the better? And better is another judgment, I agree. But what if we can create more consciousness, more gratitude, more light, more whatever, more of ease, joy, and glory? And so let's ask for more money. What would it take to have more money? Universe, give me more money now, please. Universe, and let's do it together. Universe, would you give me more money now, please? Universe, give me more money now, please. Please give me more money now. And with that, we're going on our second break of the show. And you've been listening to Creating Abundance with Ease with myself, Dr. Helen Gitlevich on Inspired Choices Network. And we'll be right back.
Many of us live our lives based on karma, on the past, and all the unfinished business in our lives. What would you choose if you did not have karma, or if you could choose what you desired instead? By tuning into Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to create the abundance in your life. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to have ease with creating abundance? Listen for Creating Abundance with Ease radio show every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Magic and abundance are everywhere. What if you could tap into abundance and start creating your life with complete and total ease? Working with Dr. Helen Gitlevich will give you exactly that, total ease in creating abundance in your life. Dr. Gitlevich creates classes all over the world, both in person and online. She works with you to create abundance with your money, with your body, with your relationships, with all areas of your life with total ease. Connect with Dr. Helen Gitlevich at creatingabundancewithease.com. Her contribution in your world will be a noticeable gift in a very short period of time.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Creating Abundance with Ease show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to helen.g@att.net. Now, back to the program.
Welcome forward, everyone. I'm Dr. Helen Gitlevich on the Creating Abundance with Ease on Inspired Choices Network. And today our show topic is, what can you create beyond your limitations? And this is our part 3. So in the first 2 parts, we were talking about the definition of limitations and that we are infinite. So we cannot have limitations, and limitation is a threshold. In the second part, we were talking about tools of access consciousness, questions. How does it get any better than that? What else is possible? And in the first, we did a meditation of expansion, and you can download it from my website, www.creatingabundancewithease.com, and it's in the show info, so you can click on it and go there. It's free to download, and you will get on email list. If you want to unsubscribe, you can do it at any moment. And if you're already on the list, it will not double it. If it does, just let me know, unless you have a different email when you signed up. With everything that's going on in the world right now, there is so many limitations, so many rules and regulations with COVID, with war going on, with visas. I'm going to Italy right now to do classes, bars, foundation, and 3-day body class in Rome on August, starting on the 4th. Intro classes, and I'm finding out that a lot of people need visas and it takes time. So what if all of that, the limitations of this reality, are again just something to go around, maybe through it. Think of all the limitation, all the rules as what else is possible? Like we were asking in the second part. How does it get any better than that? It's funny, but we can create magic with those questions. I know I'm repeating myself. I've heard that tool over 10 years ago. And at first I'm like, yeah. Then I took many classes with access consciousness. And I still heard that question. And I'm like, And yet, that's a basic tool. I remember first time using it on a plane. I think I was a month. Yeah, I think I was 1 month in access. I just I just took the foundation. And I went for vacation with my daughter, and she was like, "Oh, Mom, stop saying those things. Stop asking those questions." Well, she was young, in her teens, and you know how teenagers are. So I kind of like, okay, we're at the airport, and I'm asking the clerk, "Are there any other seats available? What else is possible?" And I could see almost like a robot. He looks up and he's like, "Oh, there is 2 seats, but they're across the aisle on row 2." And I'm like, "Okay, we'll take it." Instead of sitting in the back, row 35, I think, we were sitting in the second row. Next to me was a woman with a child on her lap, and my daughter's like, "Yeah, look what you created." I'm like, "That's okay. I'll keep asking. How does it get any better than that? What else is possible?" And almost like by magic, but actually by magic, a stewardess stops by and says, "Oh, wait, the child cannot sit on your lap when we taking off." And so she moved that woman with the child behind Rachel and switched places with a cute guy next to me. And I'm like, "Oh, cool." We had a lovely conversation throughout a plane ride. And my daughter is like, "Oh, thanks," because the child started kicking her in the back. And I'm like, "Well, it's your choice. You can use the tools. You don't have to use tools, but you can play with it." So she chose to play with the tools and whispering, "How does it get?" or in her mind saying, "How does it get any better than that? What else is possible?" Suddenly, mom and the baby switch places, and the baby falls asleep within 5 minutes. But don't use those tools, because those tools actually can change your life. I'm just saying that it's so magical, it's simple, and yet it's so powerful. And a lot of times I need a reminder, use those tools. Just like mantra of access, all of life comes to me with ease, joy, and glory. If you say it 10 times in the morning, 10 times in the evening, your life might change. And yet, please remember that we can say those questions and tools. It's about following the energy. It's about choosing more for you through action as well as the questions. Because the question will give you an awareness. And then you have possibilities. And then you can choose. And with the choice, you get more awareness and more possibilities, and then you can choose again. It's about being who you are, and you can ask questions in the chat, by the way. Welcome, Bob. You can type your questions and we can play with the energy. And how do you follow the energy? How do you go beyond limitation? Because limitations are always lies. And lie is always heavy and contracting. The truth will always be light and expanding. It's funny, but we don't pay attention. A lot of times when we hear something, it makes you feel light and expanding. And by the way, if something I say doesn't feel light and expanding, it's probably not true for you. And that's okay. I don't know everything about your life, and I am not a guru. I'm not the enlightened person that knows everything. So I can lie. I can kind of like tell things that's not correct, and that's okay. This is about getting out of judgment of being right and wrong. It's about following what's light and following, maybe dropping what's a lie in your life. If it's heavy, it most likely is a lie. If it's contracting, most likely it's a lie. And how do we know what's light and heavy? It's simple. Think of the moment where you're in nature when there was no people. And I'm stressing it, no people. You in nature alone. You and Mother Earth. You in the ocean. Just feel that energy. Or when you're looking at the eyes of the newborn or a young baby, a couple of weeks, a month old, those things do not lie. Okay, now erase it and think of when somebody lied to you. Ugh, yeah, that's a lie. All the limitations, all of them, everything that not allowing you to go beyond it are lies. So just allow yourself to go beyond that and follow what's light. Because as we said in the first part, limitations are nothing but the threshold of something beyond. Because as I said in the definition of 1904, it's the sense of very extreme, the greatest degree imaginable. And imaginable is a key word because there is so much more beyond our imagination. I love Disney World, and there is a lot of things in Epcot Center that challenges your imagination, which goes beyond everything that we know. And it's time for our third and final break of the show. And you've been listening to Creating Abundance with Ease with myself, Dr. Helen Gitlevich on Inspired Choices Network. We will be right back.
Many of us live our lives based on karma, on the past, and all the unfinished business in our lives. What would you choose if you did not have karma, or if you could choose what you desired instead? By tuning into Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to create the abundance in your life. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to have ease with creating abundance? Listen for Creating Abundance with Ease radio show every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
This is the Creating Abundance with Ease show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to helen.g@att.net. Now, back to the program.
Welcome forward, everyone. I'm Dr. Helen Gitlevich on Creating Abundance with Ease on Inspired Choices Network. And today our show topic is, what can you create beyond your limitations? And that's actually a good question to ask. What can I create beyond my limitations? And it's kind of like our last few minutes of the show. In the first three parts, we talked a lot about the definition of limitation as a threshold, as going beyond it, using tools of access consciousness. On accessconsciousness.com, you'll find out more about classes, about my classes. You can find out about my classes on creatingabundancewithease.com. You can contact me personally through Facebook Messenger, through my website, email, WhatsApp, Telegram. There is a whole few chats that I'm part of. If you're speaking Russian, there is a large Telegram chat, Helen Gitlevich, в Украине и во всем мире. You can find that, or my channel on Telegram that has a lot of YouTube videos and YouTube channel. This podcast is every Wednesday at 11 o'clock Central Standard Time, 12 o'clock Eastern, and you can catch it on the app, on the website. You can sign up so you get the reminders. There is so many ways of contacting me and finding out more, asking questions. This is more about kind of like what's next. There are a lot of classes coming up. I'm doing a 3-day body class in Chicago area in Buffalo Grove on July 29. I'm going to Italy, Rome, with Bars Foundation 3-day body class. I'm co-facilitating it with Dmitry Kalinkin in Russian and possible English and Italian translation. English, probably I will be translating myself, as well as Dmitry. Next week, we will be doing a show in Russian, pain as a signal of the body, боль как сигнал тела. I'll be doing it with a guest, Dmitry Kalinkin. And you're welcome to join, even if you don't speak Russian, because this is all about energy. It's a lot of things that I talk about has an energetic component that shifts and changes. And I remember dating somebody, and he said 95% of our communication is nonverbal. And he was correct. Only 5% of our communication is verbal. 95% is energetic, mental, emotional. There is so much. And that's a 95% that lies beyond our limitations, where we can create beyond that. I would say not even 95%, it's 99.99%. I remember seeing somewhere put a dot and a huge circle. The dot is what we know. The huge circle is what we don't know. And that's the same, because our knowing is actually infinite, but our knowledge and education is very limited. But we created that's all we know. And that's another limitation, that we can go beyond it, beyond that wall, beyond that threshold. Because beyond the limitation is a whole, as Dr. Dane says, non-reality, reality. It doesn't feel like anything. It's just space. When we are being space, the space is actual magic. When we create from space, we can create anything we desire. we still create through our choices, through our thoughts, feelings, and emotions on a daily basis. Do you desire to create from that? From the fears, from the limitations? Or would you like to create from space, from no judgment, from just being who we are, when we don't put any definitions on ourselves? Because any definition is still a judgment. When we don't have definitions, we don't have limitations. When we don't have limitations, we can create anything beyond this reality. To other people, it might be looking like you're creating magic. In the old times, people were burned at the stake for that. And how many lifetimes were you burned at the stake or thrown off the cliff or drowned for magic, for using magic, for creating magic, even for healing somebody? Because that was not acceptable. That was not according to the rules of that reality. It has boundaries. And what if we can actually live with no boundaries as an infinite being, an infinite embodiment? What would that create? And as I said, next week, we'll talk more about the bodies in Russian, or you can go to archives, because you can find the shows on iTunes, on Spotify, on SoundCloud, on YouTube, on multiple cable TV channel, including Binge TV. It's just a choice. There is, I think, over 150 audio shows and over 100 TV episodes. So just allow yourself, and you don't have to listen to it. You actually know all of it. If you allow yourself to listen to yourself, listen to that inner voice, not the one that tells you how bad you are and how wrong you are, but the actual voice that tells you how great you are and how infinite you are and how much more you can create beyond what you know, beyond that uncertain origin. Because this is just, again, this is from the 15th centuries. Maybe before 15th century, there was no limit. Maybe we were infinite beings before that, or not. What if you can actually ask more questions and be the question? How does it get any better than that? What else is possible? What can we create beyond this reality? What is it that I am actually desiring in this moment? What can I create beyond the limitation that I put on myself, that my parents put on myself? What can I be to create and generate that will create more consciousness in the world? And as I said, there are infinite number of questions you can ask or be, because this is what will create. And then from those questions, you can choose the action, not a reaction. Because a lot of times we react instead of act. So my invitation is just be the space that creates more. And it's time to go. I'll see you next week, same time, same place. And this is just to allow yourself to be beyond limitation.
Thank you for choosing to listen to Creating Abundance with Ease radio show. Dr. Helen Gitlevich will return next Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have fun using the tools of the week in your life and start creating magic in your life and your body.